joining me is Dr. Jennie Bales. Now, Jennie has worked in education for over 35 years. Her experience has encompassed primary and secondary teaching, as well as teacher librarianship, university lecturing and departmental leadership in ICT integration. Jennie regularly presents on resourcing the Australian curriculum. She is currently employed as an adjunct lecturer for Strait University in the School of Information Studies, and she has just started a research project with colleagues at Strait University on e-book take-up in Australian schools.
Thank you, Karen, and good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us, and I do hope you find this session useful, interesting, and perhaps with a little bit of inspiration for things that you can take back and apply in your school and share with your colleagues. And the focus of tonight's session is looking at websites that provide lesson content that you can use in the areas of humanities and social science. Now, not so very long ago, these were called history and geography, but with a change of government, there has also been some changes in direction of the Australian curriculum. Recent conversations in the media have shown us that we can expect some more changes to come. But currently on the Australian curriculum website, the history and geography strands are listed under humanities and social science, and there are two areas awaiting final endorsement, and that's economics and business and civics and citizenship. So the main focus for this session will be on presenting websites that provide lesson plans and units of work that address the history and geography curriculums. The final section of my presentation this evening will present some pathways that address the civics and citizenship aspects, because they're not, I don't believe, far from coming online. Some of these have been reincarnated from previous government interests and content and have been repackaged under the Australian curriculum format. I won't be covering the economics and business aspects specifically at this point in time, because really there's very limited amount of information and content developed to address these at this point. I'm going to start with the Australian curriculum and looking at the curriculum support that is there within the website. Now, the website itself does not provide ready-made lessons for you. But what it does do is give you lots and lots of information that you can put together to create your lessons from. So when you go into the Australian curriculum website, you can organise your layout to aid your continuum development. So you can sort by subject and year level. You can look at the previous years and the following years to get an overview. But what I wanted to focus on tonight to talk to you was about the portfolio work samples. Now, these are PDF files at the end of each year level, and they provide ideas for development of units of work. So each portfolio provides you with the titles of the work samples, and there are quite often examples of different levels of attainment so that you can see how varying students have tackled the same problem. Just to give you a brief overview of some of the content, for example, in the Foundations Year History, there are 3 work samples. One's on timelines, based on the book How the Birds Got Their Colours. Another is a photo album called Mum and Me. And the third is a comparison with families and celebrations. So those work samples, over the 3 of them, cover different aspects of that history curriculum for Foundation. As a complete change in the Year 9 Geography, the sample 1 is a data response to biomes and food security, and the second sample is an independent inquiry exploring interconnections through the coffee trade. That's just to give you a broad overlook of the sorts of things that can be found there in the portfolios. What's significant from our perspective tonight is what's included in those portfolios. So there's a descriptive overview of each sample. There's identification of the relevant part of the standard that's covered. There's a summary of the task. And then there's the work samples. And these include the tasks, the worksheets that may have been used, graph results, illustrated timelines, and so forth. And these are all accompanied with annotations to inform the assessment process. So for those of you that haven't done this at this point in time, I'm sure the vast majority of attendees tonight have used their portfolios to assist them in assessing students against the curriculum. But you may not necessarily have thought about how you can tap into all the content there to combine it and to build your own lessons and units of work using those portfolios. And moving on, we will be looking at other sources that you can use to either enhance the Australian curriculum or to bring in some of the work sample information from the curriculum into your own units of work. And I'm going to share with you what is one of my favourite sites in terms of providing high quality curriculum content. And this is the Australian History Curriculum site, and that is supported by the Australian Curriculum Society. So they have put together a comprehensive collection of work. It offers 8 units, and they are units of work, not individual lesson plans, to support the implementation of the history curriculum. The focus is to support the development of historical inquiry skills through an in-depth study. The tabs that I've presented there cover the range of topics that are there. You'll see that not every year level of the primary sector is covered, but all of the secondary sector is covered. These units of work, before you start delving into those, I strongly recommend that you follow the first tab that's called Teaching History. So this is actually like the first unit, and that provides the conceptual background. It unpacks the skills and concepts. It surveys approaches to teaching and provides an essential framework to support you in delivering any of the units that are provided. So do please take the time to explore that Teaching History button to ensure that you are tackling your history units of work with a really strong pedagogical foundation. The units 2 to 8 that are presented there provide concrete examples. So each year level focus provides teaching programs, sample learning sequences, a wide range of resources and assessment ideas. One of the great things about these units is that they have embedded different approaches to teaching that are represented across the units, and the units can be taught in their entirety, or sections could be used selectively by accessing from the range of quality resources that they provide. And there's lots of supporting information and PDF files, etc. And this is a good case where you might be doing a unit of work, for example, on the First Fleet, and if you go into the Australian curriculum site and look at the portfolio samples there, you can actually pick up supporting information that you might like to bring into that unit. Just for this evening's session, I'm just going to focus on the Year 6 Federation unit of work. I've just done a bit of a screen capture there. So this unit, if you look at the tabs on the orange bar above it, there you have the unit program, which I've done a screen capture of and you can see there. And then there are 2 more tabs, one for the learning sequences for the first 4 learning activities, and then the remaining 4 activities. So there are 8 activities altogether. The overview on the screen gives you a general idea of what the focus is and how it operates, the methods of assessment, and then links to 3 support documents. There are also 3 supporting tabs, which I haven't included in my screenshot, that come out from the right-hand side of the page, and they direct you to the PDF files so that you can access them very easily. Those files include the overall of the unit plan, which I'll unpack in a moment, a student map of the Gardner's multiple intelligences and Bloom's taxonomy activities, and a teacher planner that maps those. So just from that you can see that there's quite comprehensive information. But when you dig into it, you see just how much is there. So when you actually explore the unit plan itself, it follows a very comprehensive unit of work outline, framework that you could apply to other topics that you might be investigating during the year. It identifies the historical skills, the achievement standards with direct links to the Australian curriculum history standards. It has the year level description. It identifies the historical knowledge and understanding, and then it explores the pedagogical approaches. So for this particular unit, for the Year 6, they use Bloom's taxonomy and Gardner's multiple intelligences to support higher order thinking, and it includes teacher-directed group and individual tasks across those areas. The teaching and learning sequences, and for this, as I mentioned earlier, there are 8 activities, are outlined in just brief summaries in the unit plan. The detail of them is found online under the Learning Sequence tabs above. It has an outline of the assessment that's used, and this is actually organised under Bloom's 6 levels of thinking with a focus on historical inquiry skills. So they've all been mapped for you, very useful. It also lists some resources, and these include web links, and that includes access to the Scootle, some Federation images to support your teaching program. It identifies some useful titles for guided reading and the use of literature, and it even includes some suggestions for excursions. The PDFs that are available, there's one for the students, and that maps the multiple intelligence tasks across Bloom's taxonomy so that you can get students to identify and select tasks across a range of levels of thinking. And then there's also a map for teachers so that they can see where the different activities, the learning sequences, fit into the Bloom's and multiple intelligences grid. So lots and lots of useful tools there, many of which you could strip out the content and set up again for your own planning in other areas. So I just wanted to unpack one of these just to give you an idea of what's available and the depth of resources that can be accessed through this website. We'll have a quick look at another website that provides you with lesson plans, and this is called the Australian Curriculum Lesson Plans website. And it, at this point in time, doesn't address geography, but its main areas are English, maths, science, history and art. They're very misleading when you look at the website because the coloured buttons stand out as being the main content, and in fact they're not. They actually lead you to some Excel mathematical activities that students can do. For you navigating this site, you actually need to look at the plain black headings that are there with the drop-down arrows. So under those arrows, they cover all the year levels from foundation through to year 10, and when you select one of the year levels, it will come up with sometimes one, sometimes several different lessons covering that year level. One of the advantages of this site is there's lots and lots of little tasks in here rather than huge units of work, but they're a nice way to embellish a unit that you've already developed to add some further content. You just need to be very mindful of the fact that there are a lot of advertisements, so not just on the top of the page in the header but also down the side. So just think about that when you're navigating. Just picking, in this instance I took the Year 3 history. I tried to get a bit of a balance across the curriculum year levels to show you some different snapshots. So dropping down and selecting Year 3 under the history drop-down menu, this is only some of the activities that are available. There are more than these, and you can see that they cover some different aspects that address the curriculum. Often when you go into these, you will find that there are cross-curricular links as well. So for example, with the Dreamtime stories, there are links there to the English curriculum and also the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders priorities. So cross-curricular links are in place in this website as well. So you can see there's some few things there, and the second is just a close-up of 5-6 resources on migration. and it gives you a little summary so that you know what you're accessing, and then when you go into those units you get a summary of the lesson. You have links to the Australian curriculum for assessment and reporting purposes. You get a lesson plan sequence or series, so some of these are units of work rather than just individual lessons. Ideas for assessment and resources, which may or may not include support documents, and nearly all of them include links to websites with further information. So that's another very useful tool for you there, the history lesson, the Australian curriculum lesson website. The recent changes to the access to the Scootle site have made things much easier for teachers and for students, so that the efforts that you had to put in to create learning pathways with codes that students could, so they could get online to access materials, that's all gone, and it's much, much easier to provide access to those units of work, and there are some fantastic units of work embedded into Scootle, or a whole series of learning objects on your different topics. I've just provided there just a simple example of a general search that you can do, put in your keyword, and then the left menu bars in Scootle allow you to refine your search right down to a very, very focused level. So if it's a particular resource that you want, whether it be a video, an interactive, a lesson plan, an image, you can do that there. So just a great way of adding or locating resources to add to units of work, but also finding very strong units of work that are very clearly connected to the content in the Australian curriculum. Now this has been around for a couple of years now, and it has a continually growing content. So 12 months ago there was nothing for geography, and now there is, and it's growing almost daily. You can go in and see new content. So the ABC Splash site isn't a resource for delivering packaged lesson plans as such, but it provides resources, and the majority of them are video footage to support your lessons. The power of this site is in the grouping around themes and the refinements to search for the highly relevant content. So the screen capture that I've provided with you is not the home page at all. I've taken you to the teachers page. So the top navigation buttons, where the cursor is sitting at the moment, the home, primary, secondary, games, parents, teachers and topics, provide you with different pathways. So if you're a primary school teacher, you can go straight to primary, ditto for the secondary. If you're looking for a particular topic, whether it might be a special event such as Gallipoli Landing or Anzacs, Easter, those sorts of things, you can do a topic search. If you search through the teachers page, you actually get further refinement. So I do recommend you exploring through the teachers tab to find your resources, because it comes up with some different results that can be really useful. Above the tabs, where the teachers tab is, there's a search box, and if you use this search box, it actually comes up with the results and opens up a refinement tool the same as that in Scootle. And that's a cross connection there, that the AB Splash content is indexed in Scootle. So once you create a search here, then you can refine your searches along in the same way for curriculum level and resource type, etc. So that's a really useful thing to be able to do. There's also the grey tab, which I suppose are the second level headings. There's one called Moments in Time. I'm not sure whether you can see that sitting there, but I just wanted to alert you to that, because that's not lesson plans as such, but it's a great little interactive timeline, and it presents key events that occurred around the world from 650 onwards through to around about 1918. And it's very useful, and students would enjoy navigating their way through that to support a particular time in history that they're investigating. Lots of resources there. I guess the thing to remember with this ABC Splash is that it's not static, it's being updated all the time, and you can opt in to a newsletter and get updates of new content as well. On the next slide, I've just done a couple of screen captures to give you an idea of what you get when you do a search in ABC Splash. The left-hand screen is a secondary search, and under this, if you have a look, I've picked all the year level for all, and it's a geography search, and it's come up with a number of videos, a few games, digibooks, audio, and some resources. At this point in time, there's no topic collection. So when they get more resources together under geography, then you'll get topics as an alternative search result. At the moment, it comes up with a list of predominantly video clips. You can see the little movie camera there as the symbol. For each one, it gives you a brief overview, and it tells you the year levels that it's relevant for. The right-hand screen capture is of a topic search for history, and each of those topics, when you click on one of those, then it unpacks into a page of links to various videos, etc. When you open up a video, before you watch it, each video screen has a series of little tabs underneath it, and they actually provide focus questions. And a lot of people I know have been watching the videos without actually realising that there's this extra quality of content that's available for you. So the questions that they provide are to assist the teacher or a student that is working independently as well. So it does support individual student engagement with the content. And the questions are questions to consider before you view a video on a topic, and questions that you can ask during the video. You can pause it and ask questions then. One's for after viewing, and then some questions for taking it further as well. So really useful little added extras that are in the ABC Splash site that many of you might find useful. Now I'm just going to move now on to geography, and I have one favourite site for the geography, and this is it here, GeogSpace, and once again this is provided by the Geography Teachers Association. The screen captured there, we're just staying on this page for this. If you have a look at the navigation buttons, there's the home, the core units and the support units. The core units are organised under tabs for Foundation to Year 4, Years 5 to 6, Years 7 to 8 and Years 9 to 10. They provide you with the theoretical underpinnings, are presented on the left menu bars when you open them up, and they give you an introduction, the key understandings, the inquiry skills and exemplars of work. The exemplars are where you would go for your lesson plans. So each year level includes an overview and at least 2 illustrations. The secondary units usually have more than 2 illustrations, which are units of work that support a particular aspect of the geography curriculum for each year group. Just to give you a quick overview of just some of the content, not all of it. The foundation, they've got Making a Model of a Place Like Mine, Year 1, My Place, Year 3, Making Your Own Atlas, Year 5, Planning Your Local Place, Year 7, Assessing the Livability of Places, Year 9, E-Waste, and Year 10, The Rich and the Poor. So a vast array of content and topics there. The units include a curriculum overview. They identify the learning goals, the geographical understandings that will be addressed in the unit, different teaching approaches, what you need to deliver it, including some web links and connections across other curriculum areas and supporting resources. So fantastic, solid site to source geography material. And I know particularly in the primary school, a lot of teachers don't feel that they have the background to teach geography, and I strongly recommend that you come here. The cross-curriculum connections are very useful for the secondary sector as well. So even if you're not a geography teacher, you could be looking at how you could support geographical understanding through the other curriculum areas. And this is the Asia Education Foundation. So this site supports the focus on Asia as part of the curriculum priorities, and it has a range of content that's grouped under various curriculum areas that I have listed there. The focus here is mainly curated digital resources, though there are some learning sequences there as well. Some of these are housed in Scootle, so a Scootle search might take you to this website as well. Just to give you a very brief overview of the sorts of things that you could find, if you searched under geography, some of the learning sequences there include a foundation on special places, a lower primary on animals and their homes, Year 3 images of Indonesia, Year 5 life in a floating village, Year 6 connecting to Asia and seeing beyond Asia. The History tab has resources for Year 5 upwards with a strong basis on the Year 9-10 history curriculum. There are a few resources on civics and citizenship and a couple on economics and business, but once again the focus is with Asia. So there's one on, I think, with the rice trade with China, for example, as a Year 9 economics subject. And then, as promised, I thought I would just finish with the civics and citizenship to show you an area to move on to. So this is a very comprehensive website. The For Teachers tab includes professional learning for staff, so not just lesson plans to share with your teachers, but lesson plans for your teachers so that they understand civics and citizenship. And a fantastic historical calendar is linked under that as well. So if you click on the calendar, you can click on today's date and then it will make connections in history across there and link you to units of work to support it. So very useful indeed. The Teaching and Learning Activities tab is the one where you'll find your units of work. So if we just move on to the next slide, you'll get an idea of what it looks like when you open up one of those. The lesson plans, I've just clicked on the lesson plans for middle secondary I have in the right-hand box, but on the first page when you do the teaching and learning activities, you can see how they're organised into lower, middle, upper, primary and secondary. Each of those, just as an example, the middle primary has a unit of work on local government called Town Hall Detective. Middle secondary has a civics and media unit along with many, many others. And I've just done a screen capture there to give you an idea of the range of units of work that are available. Also under that tab are digital resources that you can use to support your learning and a gallery of biographies of famous Australians. So a very useful site, and even though Civics and Citizenship isn't online yet, I'm very confident that it will be, in spite of comments about making our curriculum tighter and smaller. I think this is an aspect that will be embraced in one form or another. But regardless of that, there are topics there that are highly relevant at any time of the year. And the last website I'm going to share with you tonight backs this up, and it can be linked from the Civics and Citizenship website as well, but this is the Parliamentary Education Office. And I just thought I'd close with this one, as we're about to face local elections here in Tasmania, and elections happen around the country all the time at state, local, and of course we have our federal elections as well. But this is a great site that I thought to close with, because it has some very simple interactives for young children to engage them with our political arena and how our politics work, has role plays, and it includes lesson plans. There's a very comprehensive Year 6 plan. And I think regardless of your curriculum directives and the directions of our federal educators, we all address current events, and so politics is part of our current events, and every election that occurs is an opportunity to engage students in a debate about democracy and democratic processes. And sites such as this and the previous one provide learning materials to assist in the process to deliver quality learning and to engage our students.